In today's video, I got 7 tips for you for winter bank fishing for bass. We're talking about setups, baits, a whole bunch of other things. And if you stay to the end of this video, I have a special offer for my viewers only that you're definitely gonna wanna grab this year. Let's get into the video. If this is your first time to the channel, my name is Chris. This is Lifeoholics Fishing, where I'll be bringing you the best that the Northeast has to offer as far as fishing goes. I'm talking about tips, tricks, product reviews, and more. So if you find value from that type of content, please consider subscribing. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys some tips for winter bank fishing for bass. Smallmouth, largemouth, doesn't matter. They're, both equally the same as tips go. Now, I'm down here at the river. I'm going to be pretty much fishing and talking to you guys. Hopefully maybe catch some stuff. But let's get into the video and start with tip number 1. So tip number 1, first and foremost, I know this might seem pretty obvious, but I want to make sure to throw it out there because it is vitally important over everything else as far as fishing goes. What you wear. Now, winter months up here in the Northeast, we've been hard in the winter. Water temperatures have been well in the low 40s, high 30s. Temperatures have been down in the freezing cold every night. So we're hard in the winter up here. Whenever you go out, it doesn't matter if you're first thing in the morning, in the evening, in the afternoon, does not matter. Please make sure to dress warmly. Me, I got a thick winter hoodie on underneath my jersey, plus I got thermal on underneath that. Then I also got thermals and flannels underneath my jeans. If you're looking for something cheap and on the budget, if you don't want to get a whole bunch of flannel or thermals, easy way to do it, find a cheap pair of snow pants. You can get them anywhere. I will have everything linked in the description below, but you can get a nice cheap pair of winter snow pants, snowboarding pants, skiing pants, doesn't matter, for like 20-30 bucks. Put them on over whatever you're wearing. You can get a bib, anything. Whatever's going to keep you warm and dry this winter, that's what you're going to go for. Gloves, face masks, anything and everything possible. Make sure you dress warm before you get out on the water. All right, so tip number 2. This is going to go as far as your setups go, okay? Now, as you see, I'm out on the river right now, and I'm using a casting reel, casting rod. Now, reason for that is because I am using a swing head jig. It's my tungsten swing head jig from Wicked Weights, and again, everything will be linked in the description below. Now, the reason I'm using tungsten is because of sensitivity. And with tip number 2, with setups, go with the most sensitive gear you have. Finesse. Everything is finesse. Now, yes, you could be throwing your glide baits, your swim baits. That's not this video. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about getting out there, catching fish every day, and what you need, okay? Now, fluorocarbon obviously is the best way to go as far as sensitivity. Now, yes, braid, of course, is more sensitive than fluoro, and that's where I get to the setup. Now, for spinning reels, especially if you're from the bank, I highly suggest going with the 10-pound Power Pro braid as your backing and for most of your fill. Then go with an 8 to 12 pound fluoro leader, anything between 6 feet to 20. It's up to you. It's a matter of what your skill set is and what you're comfortable with. Now, the reason for that is because with pairing those two up, you're getting the most sensitive setup you possibly can. You're also getting extreme casting distance, especially if you're fishing from the bank. And also, with how slow you're going, you will feel everything on the water bottom. So that right there is tip number 2. Good setup. Now, spinning rods, medium light. Typically, I actually go with medium heavies because I just feel they're more sensitive and I can feel everything that's happening. But it's up to you and what you're comfortable with. So fluorocarbon, me on this casting reel, this is my trusty Abu Garcia, paired up on a 7-foot jawbone, and I have 17-pound fluorocarbon on here, and I am using that on a swing head jig, which I will get to in a second, with the craw. Now, the reason I go with the craw, most people will be like, why craw? It's too cold for craw. Well, that's because down here, the fish are used to seeing craws. They're eating on craws. So, even though it's cold, all the craws went away. Seeing a craw out there is different, and being different might get you bit. Real quick before we finish the rest of this video, if you are finding value from this type of content, please consider hitting that subscribe button with the little bell next to it. That way you're notified of all my new videos when I'm posted. Also, if you share it with a friend who might also find value from this as well, and in the comment section below, let me know where you're going to be hitting this winter and what your go-to setup is. I'd love to talk to you. Leave it in the comments below and let me know what everyone else is using. So that leads to tip number 3. Now, here are pretty much your go-tos, lures, baits, etc. Now, everyone's going to have their personal preferences, and yes, you can use anything. You can come out here, throw a whopper plopper. You might get bit. You never know, especially if a fish is hungry enough. Now, in the winter, fish only eat once a week, bass specifically. They go from eating once every day to once a week. That's how much their metabolism slows down because of the cold. So, you're going to be going with those dying bait fish, baits and lures. Specifically, jerk baits, suspending jerk baits. Definitely some of my favorite. I have tied on a Rapala 6 to 8 foot suspended ghost minnow jerk bait. You can use as a top water. Not many people think about that. You can use as a top water. You can use it just as a regular jerk bait. Really, really long pauses in between though with the jerk baits. Long pauses. And go super, super slow. After the suspended jerk baits and the soft flash jerk baits, we're gonna go with a jig, standard jig. Now this one again on Shimano Metanium. This is on my Fish NFX custom rod 7.3. Very, very amazing rod. Again, everything will be linked in the description below. And here I am using a casting jig. This is my tungsten Wicked Weights half-ounce casting jig paired up with a Rage Chub Craw trailer. That's it, simple. Just because of that small compact profile, and that's what I'm using. I cannot stress this enough for you. Slow, slow, slow. Let it hit bottom and just wait. Now that's why the clothing is important, because you're going to be out here just going to be standing and you really just stay focused. You have to stay focused because just that quick is what's going to get it. Just had a bite. See how long I waited before I even picked it up too? Now that's why I say fluorocarbon, because this, I have it on a medium heavy rod with the tip, just so much action in the tip. So I feel everything. So when you bring it around, you drag that along the bottom and you stop feeling rocks, that's a bite. Set the hook. Hook sets are free. Don't be afraid to set the hook. Next, after jigs, trusty old Ned rig. Now, I know personally, I will not lie, I hate Ned rigs. I don't know why. I'm just not much of a finesse guy, but after seeing it all in action this last week up at the Finger Lakes, I'm sold. I have it tied on now, and that's why you go with the braid to the fluorocarbon on the spinning reel, because you can get down to 1/10 of an ounce weight jig Ned rig and just cast it a mile. So using those, same thing as a jig, really slow, very, very slow hops, and just bring it through the water. After Ned rigs, you can also go with your drop shots. With drop shots, you can go with putting on swim baits or anything of that nature, small Ned rig and finesse fishing plastics, anything you're comfortable with. I personally go with the Nikko tadpole or the Nikko craw, either or. Also the Helgramite, actually. Those are my 2 favorite. So anything that you feel comfortable with, just give it that nice natural presentation, and that's what it is all about. All right, so after the drop shots, Neds, jigs, jerk baits, my absolute favorite thing to go to is a underspin, swim bait, or an umbrella rig, an A rig. Now, personally, I like using the Yum Flash Mob Junior. It's smaller, compact. I can use it from the bank depending where I'm fishing. Always in clear water, definitely a place where there's rock. If there's a lot of grass, you definitely don't want to be using it unless you can bring it above that grass, but typically it's pretty hard, so you really want to use it for on the boat, or if you're maybe on a dike at a reservoir where you have 30-40 feet of deep water, that is where you want to be using that. Now see, this is my example of my umbrella rig. I have 1/8 ounce swim bait jigs on the bottom. Those are from VMC. Then I have my 3rd hook in the middle, and then my 2 dummies at the top. Now in Pennsylvania, I could have 5 hooks all around. This I had set up for the Finger Lakes, and they only allow 3. That is very important, and that leads me to my tip number 4. When it comes to umbrella rigs, know your state regulations. You may only be able to have 3 hooks on your umbrella rig. Pennsylvania, you are allowed up to 5. Anywhere else, I'm not sure of, other than, like I said, New York is 3, PA 5. So definitely look up and see what your regulations are before going out and using an umbrella rig. All right, so as I'm moving down to the next place real quick, let's talk about number 5. Number 5 is just gonna be quick. Talk about soft plastics, your colors, and what ones that I prefer to go to. Now, with the clear water, you're gonna go with natural. Anything like Okeechobee craw, green pumpkin, watermelons, anything like that. I personally like to go black and blue with the stained or clear. That is just, it's personal preference, really. Now, right here on the side, I'll be putting some of my favorites. You know, if you're going with the Ned, I like the Nikko Helgramite, the Tadpole. I know some of you guys like Z-Man. You use the TRDs. Anything, personal preference when it comes to that. But specifically, stick with natural colors. For your swim baits, if you're going for smallmouth, I found that the more natural, the electric blue with the white, or just pure white, anything like that, clear, all great choices for swim baits and jerk baits. All right, so number 6. Now, as far as where the bass go, they like to stick to deep. Now, this is still an argument in the bass community. I recently read an article of somebody that won a tournament in December from fishing the shallows because no one else was in the shallows, but he was finding bass there. Personally, from my own experience, I found off of ledges. Anywhere that is close to deep water, that's where the bass are gonna be. Now, if you see bait fish on the top of the water dead, if you see laydowns or anything with some water up on it, anything, that means that there's big fish nearby. Always a good tip. That's year round. Just go where the bait fish are. So just keep moving. Very, very slow. Always remember that. That is just a given. That's why it's not a tip. Just a given. In the winter, really, really, really slow. If you are not catching and you're going slow, then go slower. You want to crawl these baits. I cannot emphasize that enough. Crawl the baits. Very, very slow in the winter. All right, guys, thank you for watching for the whole video. This brings me to my 7th and my final tip, and a big one for me. Like you said, you've heard all through it. Slow, sensitivity, sensitive stuff. That is what you will hear the most in the winter. Everybody is cold, not just people, but fish. Everything is just slow, so much slower, and you really need that key sensitivity is what I'm getting at. Now for that, that's why I bring it to tip number 7, my final tip for you. Doesn't matter if you're in the boat or from the bank, I highly suggest using tungsten over lead. Now here's why. 1, tungsten is the most sensitive over all the weights that you can get. It's smaller, it's more compact, so you get that more finesse, smaller profile, no matter what type of style fishing you're doing, whether it's jigs, drop shotting, doing a bullet weight with Texas rigging, it doesn't matter. Shaky heads, all of it. Now, my preferred tungsten company that I'm also a pro team member of is Wicked Weights. And the reason for that is because of the fact that it is a very high quality tungsten and it's fairly cheap. Not only that, on all my videos, anything you see, whenever anybody talks to me, you'll hear me constantly say, shop local, support your local businesses. Wicked Weights is right from Jersey. They're as local as local can get. You can get them on their website, which will be linked in the description below. And they have pretty much everything and anything that you can possibly need as far as weights go. Now, my big one that I've been liking lately, and I'll definitely be using in the winter, is right here. It's the swing head. And this is I have a pair just on an offset, not an EWG, just an offset 3/0 hook with my Nikko bass worm. All right, this also pairs up well on Sergeant Shaky, which is Wicked Weights shaky head, and another fantastic product by them. Now, reason I say the tungsten is the sensitivity. Very sensitive, very sensitive. This right here, this is a 1/2 ounce swing head jig, and you would never be able to tell with how small it is. Same goes for their casting jigs. You just saw me using the Okeechobee Croc casting jig on my other rod. That right there was a 1/2 ounce casting jig by Wicked Weights, and that is still smaller and sleeker than a 3/8 ounce or 1/4 ounce lead weight. So you cannot go wrong, especially when you're looking for that more sleek finesse profile. Same goes for Neds, also ball head jigs. Now, one that I've been using is from Wicked Weights. It's a just regular black tungsten ball head jig with the 3/0 hook on there, and it also has the weedless guard on it. So you can't go wrong. Aside from that, with lead, it chips. And I guarantee this, if you go next time when you buy lead, especially if you're buying the cheaper stuff from Walmart or wherever, you will always find imperfections on them. You have to usually scrape it around with your line or a hook to get those extra rivets off, because that stuff will snap your line. Definitely 110%, I guarantee it. With tungsten, you never have that. It always comes perfect condition. It does not take a beating like lead. Yes, you might get paint chipped before you will ever see the weight itself chipped. Plus, with that extra sensitivity, if you cannot afford the fluorocarbon, tungsten will give you that sensitivity over everything else. So as I said at the beginning, for watching to the end of the video, this is for my viewers today only. Now, again, Wicked Weights, they're already cheap and high quality tungsten weights. But for my viewers and for all you watching today, when you go to wickedweights.com, use the promo code WICKEDLIFE. All caps, it will be in the description below. That'll get you 10% off your entire order. And that's from me to you for watching today's video. All right, guys, so again, thank you very much for watching today's video. I hope you gained value from it. If you did, smash that like button. If you have not yet subscribed, please hit that little red button below with the bell next to it. That way you get notified of all my new videos when they come out. Also, if you know a friend that might find value from this content, hit that share button. And in the comments below, let me know what your go-to favorite setup is for the winter, or which tip did you find the most value from in today's video. So tight lines, guys. Thanks again, and I will see you in my next video.